When the wind blows cold on the shores of Lake Erie, the Queen City moans her sad, lonely song. Her streets are empty, but for handfuls of scattered souls, scurrying to escape the chill. Most are gathered at the warm watering holes that garnish every street corner, offering respite for the weary. The air hangs thick and is warmed by the hot takes that resound from the wooden walls. We find ourselves on the doorstep of such a place, with the champions of mediocrity about to set off on another long-winded journey. The windows are already beginning to fog with the balmy bloviations. As the door creaks open, a rush of warm air ushers the velvet voices of the 716 Sports Podcast.
Hello, welcome back. 716 Sports Podcast. Talking, we're up to firing style already.
Well, I got 4 words in before we fucked up. It's a new personal best.
And
fuck yeah.
You got 10 words in before I started swearing on air.
Here we go. Now we're gonna be a real show. Bill's not here today,
Good.
so you're gonna hear the rest of us talk.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris. It was Chris, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Chris.
Yeah.
This will be Chris's favorite episode of this podcast ever.
Chris enjoyed it.
I'm sure he did.
So people will know there are more of us than just Bill, right?
Oh, Mike's
No.
here.
And Mike's here. Nick's back for 2. Nick, is this the first time? The first time we did 2 podcasts in a row in like 2 years.
It's got to be like 2 years since. Yeah.
It's amazing.
You get busy sometimes. You know
No.
what are you gonna do? And now apparently I'm not busy, so here I am.
Well, there you go.
Well, you almost made it to get your face on the milk carton status.
Almost, but I'm
Almost, but
here.
not quite.
There we go.
Just wait till we break out a
Well, Mike,
long
you're-
segment later in the show, and we'll talk about someone who really hasn't been here in a long time.
Mike, you're here every week, and your face is at a milk carton every week anyway, so
Mike just likes milk.
he just sits there on his
I
phone.
just kind of sit there and watch and like.
I mean,
Wait a
how can
second,
you
I'm
not
supposed
be?
to be
How
talking.
can you not be just
Mike's trying-
enamored with the sight of Justin's face talking into this microphone?
Mike comes to get out of the house.
I mean,
Pretty much.
Me too. Thanks,
Yeah, who doesn't? What's your
So,
favorite kind of milk,
Justin.
Mike?
You're doing a very bad
Mike,
job of that.
Hold
by the
on,
way.
hold on.
What?
You brought up milk.
Yeah.
What's your favorite kind of milk? Mike, hot food take here. Real early.
The one in the gallon container.
Any of them?
We're talking 2%, 1%
2%
low
D,
fat whole
vitamin
milk.
D, chocolate.
2%.
2%.
2%.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm a 2% guy.
I'm an almond milk guy. I've got lactose problems, so
Do you like almond milk?
almond milk is solid. Especially get the unsweetened almond breeze. That's the shit.
Almond breeze is
Just
the
never
business.
drink the never get the non-fat milk. That's disgusting.
Yeah, what's the point?
Mike, I would never mistake you for a non-fat kind of guy.
You'd probably never
Coming
mistake me for a
out
2% kind of guy either.
swinging.
I love you, Mike.
What do you
My
think
buddy.
Bill's favorite milk is?
Bill's a strawberry milk
Coconut
kind of guy.
milk.
You know what? I bet he's a coconut milk guy. He drinks coconut water, doesn't he?
He comes rolling in here every Monday with
Whoa.
coconut water.
Coconut water makes me want to die.
It's terrible.
It's not bad.
No, it's awful. You're right. It's not bad. It's terrible.
disgusting.
It's like someone reached down inside of my taste buds and punched me in the throat.
We're up to firing style here this podcast. If you're still with us,
It's a
thank you.
sports podcast.
Sports.
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 There's no real rhyme or reason to this show so far today. Talk about the Sabres losing some. Well, they're not losing a lot. They've actually.
A valiant effort currently ongoing still
They're
against the
currently
Toronto
winning
Maple
right now.
Leafs, up 3-2. The Sabres are a weird team, especially over the last month. They have been terrible, but at the same time, they beat Tampa and Boston twice each in the span of 18 days. The two teams that are probably the best two teams in the Eastern Conference right now.
They do that. They play up to the level of the team they're playing, and they just play like shit against bad teams. Only bad teams to play good against is the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, Jack's really mad about Connor. Did you see that thing from McDavid yesterday?
No.
So Connor McDavid's out at a restaurant in Edmonton just with his parents, and some Edmonton fans come up from behind him on their Snapchats, sharing it to all their friends, just talking shit about him, sharing it around Edmonton. Just walk up to Connor McDavid in a restaurant, the back of his head, and start talking about how much he sucks. Can you imagine? Like, just sitting there, like, Connor's just like a guy out to dinner with his parents, just, having a good meal, and there's a bunch of random jabronis come up and start talking shit about you. He's lucky it wasn't like Milan Lucic. Lucic would have walked him out the building on a
Like
stretcher.
Luke Cheats or Pat Maroon were
Yeah.
there.
Lucic comes up in a big suit and a bow tie. I was like, I need you gentlemen to...
Have you watched any of the game today? I basically stopped watching the Sabres since Eichel got hurt. No fun to watch without him. So I was watching all season long anyways to watch Eichel.
Yeah, I watched a little bit today because it was on your TV when I came into your house to record the show, but that's about it. My heart's not in it anymore. I'm going to the game on Wednesday, so I'll sit down and watch that one. But there's no excitement. There's no air. The home games aren't fun to watch because the crowd doesn't care. The team is so disjointed. All the players I'm excited for aren't currently here. Like, except for Gooley, now that Gooley's back up.
Usually I'm diehard of diehards. I'm dialed into every game, but it's like, there's a point early in the year where I realized I wasn't upset they lost about 4 games in a row. Like, when you're not getting upset that they're losing, it's like, I gotta take a step back.
That's because they're not putting a product out worth watching, and there's no promise moving forward. There was no promise moving forward at that point.
Yeah, it's really rough at this point, especially this late in the season when there's nothing they can play for. They could run the table and it wouldn't matter in terms of making the playoffs. Just run themselves out of a higher draft pick in all likelihood with the lottery. And the worst part about this tank, too, is you think about a couple years ago when they were tanking and competing against Arizona, there's no guarantee that if they bottom out and they get the worst record, that they're actually going to get Dahlin or whoever they want to take with the first overall pick. Because that's the unfortunate part of the draft lottery. Which pros and cons of it. I don't know how you guys feel about draft lotteries versus how the NFL does it. I don't know if the NFL or the NHL discourages tanking any more than any other league because they have the draft lottery. But the Sabres could find themselves in another position where they bottom out, finish second worst or worst, and pick 5th. And then, maybe you hope like a guy like Brady Tkachuk's a good player while Dahlin goes back to Edmonton and they churn out another number 1 pick.
I don't care. I'd rather than finish last and get the 5th pick than finish 3rd last and get the 8th or 10th pick.
True.
Honestly, I mean, there's a lot of good guys in the top 5 this year, and I like Keith Tkachuk. I like that he yells Bills Mafia when he's leaving the Bills tunnel. I was like, I'm in. I'm all in on Keith Tkachuk just because.
Brady Tkachuk?
Yeah, whatever. Keith
Keith was
Brady
pretty
Tkachuk.
good too.
He was alright.
There's so many goddamn Tkachuks now in the league. Well, there's 2.
There's about to be 2.
1.
Here a Kachuk, there a Kachuk, everywhere a Kachuk, Chuck.
How much wood could it?
Damn it!
Same brainwaves. That's fine.
I was all in on Tkachuk. I saw that clip of after the outdoor game. I was like, I like him. Cool, whatever. Anyways, I want to talk more about the NFL draft today.
Yeah, NFL draft is a lot more exciting
Very
to talk about around here right now.
Interesting NFL draft this season. There's so many good quarterbacks, or big name quarterbacks.
In theory.
In theory, yeah, obviously, but there's now that the Vikings are letting go of 3 good quarterbacks, it really kind of convolutes the free agent market.
Yeah, it's not just the 5 to 6 guys you're looking at in the draft class. There's 3 or 4 guys out of free agency, in Cousins and Keenum and
Cousins, Bridgewater, Bradford,
and then the trade market for Foles.
Josh McCown.
Josh McCown looked respectable last year.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He was actually very good last year.
It's crazy.
Plus all these guys coming out.
Yeah. But yesterday I was taking a poop. And I was going through the draft order and looking at the mock drafts, and I was realizing how the Bills almost have to trade up in this draft. Not just to get one of these top guys, but just so the Jets or Dolphins don't get one of these top guys, and they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the Jets are going to get one no matter what the Bills do. I think it's just too many quarterbacks in the top 6. It is possible for them to undercut Miami, and I forget where someone was mentioning on Twitter earlier. Might have been Jeremy White or someone from GR talking about it. Miami was looking to move up as part of a possible Jarvis Landry trade with like a Chicago or a team like that. And the thought about Miami jumping up to number 8 is a little bit scary, especially in a year where they've been rumored to want a quarterback. Because you got Cleveland up there, you got the Giants up there who could certainly take a quarterback. You've got Denver, who, depending on how Cousins goes, same with the Jets, could take quarterbacks. San Francisco doesn't need a quarterback, but then if Miami moves to Chicago's spot at 8 or San Francisco at 9, that's another quarterback team. Arizona could be another team looking to move to get a quarterback. The problem the Bills have, too, is all those teams are drafting higher than them, so they will have comparable packages to offer that are less of a trade down for the team in question.
And like you said, the Jets are probably going to get one of those guys, and the Dolphins are up higher than them. So I think the Bills are almost have their hands kind of forced to have to get up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's more one of those things, like you said, we take a look at the free agent market, and that's really going to guide the way a lot of these teams that are in the top 10, in the top 12, from them being able to take a quarterback. If a team signs Kirk Cousins, they're likely not gonna draft a quarterback in the top 12. It's just I mean, you would think like they're just going to try and fill a different hole as opposed to, Kirk Cousins supposedly wants like 3 years, $80 million or $90 million. I think I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's really going to be drafting a quarterback in the top 12 and sign Kirk Cousins. I don't think. I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, never say never, but I really doubt that's going to happen. So then you hope, the teams that are going to sign somebody like a Case Keenum, and they're going to sign like a Teddy Bridgewater or like a Kirk Cousins. Those are the teams that are going to fall off and maybe get like those second tier quarterbacks in the rounds 2 or 3, opening that up for the Bills. So I think having a really deep quarterback free agent class is really going to help the Bills. I don't want them to move up. I think it's a poor decision. Somebody, at least 1 or 2, might fall. But if they have a guy they really like, I mean, I guess you could just shoot for the stars and get in that top 6 and get the guy you want. But it's going to cost you a lot to get up there.
Yeah, you talk about free agency in quarterbacks too. I think the Bills are really hoping that Kirk Cousins ends up not going to Minnesota, because you want Cousins to go to a team that's picking ahead of you. You want Cousins to go to, I guess specifically Denver, I guess as a Bills fan, but even the Jets. Taking the Jets out of the equation at number 6 for a quarterback is one more spot that you can trade up to, or one more spot that a quarterback's not being taken. Every pick that a quarterback goes without being taken, I mean, these guys are going to be dissected, talked about. Guys fall every year, like you just mentioned, Nick, and for one reason or the other, whether it's people being afraid that Josh Rosen doesn't focus enough on the sport of football, or XYZ thing that's going to happen to these quarterbacks. But now the Baker Mayfield loves grabbing his nuts too much, or whatever the people will find is the reason that we can't draft these quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson's a wide receiver. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Mason Rudolph's too tall. Josh Allen is definitely too tall.
Too tall?
Too tall.
For a quarterback.
Yep, too tall.
Do you think
It's bad to see over the offensive line?
He's going to hit the drone camera. Terrible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right?
you think Josh Rosen is just too smart for the NFL? Like, he has too much brains and he's not totally just a 1,000% football fucking robot. And
I think that Josh is not a football robot, scares some of those GMs, and was reading a little bit about this the other day.
Thoughts about the real world
it's
around
like
him.
Josh Rosen seems like the kind of guy that has one bad concussion and realizes he doesn't need the sport of football, which is probably a legitimate concern for some NFL franchises that look to which of these guys can I draft and build around for 15 years. I don't think that Josh is that kind of guy. He seems to love the sport of football, and everything that's come out from UCLA, and everyone has worked with him and played with him. Everyone of his teammates who was interviewed at the Combine is like, Josh is all about football. Just the fact that he's talking about like building a career after football, starting up charities, wanting to help the less fortunate, everything. Like, people are finding holes to poke in. Just seems like a smart, nice kid, honestly, and the face of a franchise. Like, people find reasons to hate everyone. Like, how maligned is Aaron Rodgers? Like, people will find reasons to hate people, especially if it's not your potential franchise quarterback. Like, we talk about guys like Rodgers and Russell Wilson and all these guys like they're terrible human beings because they have like tiny little personality flaws that every human being has. It's be the same thing, just under a huge microscope, especially because of how many available quarterbacks they are. If this class is just Rosen and Mayfield and like Allen and a couple of these guys are going next year, everyone is in love with these 3 quarterbacks at the top of the draft class. Lamar Jackson's a top 10 pick, and we just move on with it. But it's because there's so much parity, and these guys don't play each other very often. You can get your Darnold versus Rosen game tapes out there, but a lot of these guys have never tangled in college. Like, Josh Allen's not going out and playing Baker Mayfield. There's so much to determine between now and the draft about what exactly it is that separates the best quarterback, the number 1 quarterback, for the number 6 or number 7 quarterback. Because there could legitimately be 7 quarterbacks taken in this first round, depending on how things play out and how teams want to swing for it.
I think almost all the quarterbacks have been at the top of a mock draft so far this season. I'm looking at one right now that has Darnold going first, Allen going second, and then Mayfield before Rosen.
I'm looking at CBS right now, and they've got Allen going first.
So this whole Mel Kiper, the Cleveland Browns take the least polished quarterback and then immediately throw him into the fire. They get tired of him after a year. Sounds like exactly what they did last year.
The Browns have the ultimate key to this draft. Like, if you are okay with any one of these top quarterbacks, like if you love 2 guys, you could trade that pick to the Giants, let them pick one of them, and you could probably get a king's ransom for that pick, and get your quarterback, and get Saquon Barkley 2 picks later. Like,
I'm not convinced that Saquon Barkley is going to be available at 4 anymore.
What's that?
That dude's a freak. 29 reps on the bench press. And yeah, Indy at 3, I know they like Chubb and they probably like a bunch of things. They did just cut Frank Gore, so they might just take Barkley first of all. And that number 3 pick for a team that doesn't need a quarterback and doesn't desperately need, like, not just not need a quarterback, doesn't need a quarterback in a quarterback-rich class, people are going to be paying through the nose to try to get to 3. And if a team like the Jets or Broncos want to jump ahead of the other teams that want to take a quarterback, I don't know. And I don't think Barkley lasts past 4. I don't think Barkley gets to 4.
Mm-hmm.
He might legitimately be a number 1 pick at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it could turn into a thing where, you know, the first pick gets traded, the second pick gets traded, and the third pick gets traded that easily. And you have your teams like Cleveland who want obviously to take a quarterback, I would hope, and they're hoping that Barkley turns into 4. Barkley, they could take him number 1 and just let the quarterbacks fall as they do and do whatever they want to, you know, pick their, you know, if they have 2 quarterbacks that really like it, you know, at 4, if they have Barkley, which is a player they probably want the most, and then they have the pick of the quarterbacks after whoever ends up picking second and third, I would say it's probably a better way to go, honestly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Cleveland thinks about Saquon Barkley. If they really like him, just take him. If you don't have a quarterback preference, then only 2 of them can go with the most free pick. Again, you're guaranteed to get one of Rosen, Mayfield, or Darnold. But if they don't care for Barkley, and the team that wants to jump to number 1, think about, like, what if the Jets want to get their choice of quarterback? They're picking number 6 right now. The Jets can jump everyone, probably give up their first and maybe a first next year. Cleveland moves down 5 spots, picks 4th and 6th. That's a team that should be acquiring as many assets as possible. They have holes all over, especially on offense. That's a team that could use a trade down if they don't feel strongly enough about a guy number 1.
Yeah. I mean, moving up from 6 to anything, even 6 to 4, like, what did Chicago give up to trade up to 1 spot?
Crazy.
They gave up like 4 or 5 picks, was it?
Yeah,
Just ridiculous. It's going to cost any team to move into the top, 5. It's going to cost, 2 firsts, probably a second and a third. It's going to be ridiculous. And we're talking about the Bills moving up. You talk about the Bills moving up. They have 21-22. They have 2 in the second and 1 in the third. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's going to be one. It's going to take a lot to get for the Bills to get in the top 10. And I just don't. There's so many holes. You kind of just fill with what you have, and hopefully, somebody like, I would really love a guy like Baker Mayfield to drop, or Mason Rudolph. Personally, I don't know if it's worth the price of jumping up to get a guy like Rosen or Darnold, but it might. It's tough to say.
Yeah, this piece coming soon to 716sportspodcast.com about the history of the quarterback trade up, looking at the trades from RG3 to the more recent, the Jared Goffs of the world, and the price that you have to pay to get that quarterback number 1, number 2, number 3 is insane. And we're just really have to think about whether you want the Bills to be willing to pay that price. Justin, on that mock you have open, just out of curiosity, who do they have the Bills taking at 21 and 22?
Mason Rudolph at 21, who's one quarterback I definitely don't want in this draft. And
Was that Arden Key?
Arden Key.
He had a really good combine. He looks very athletic for a big guy like that, which is interesting. So that would be, Nick, that would be more of your scenario than wanting to get a guy like Rudolph, not have to pay up, keep both your second round picks then.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely prefer that, just looking at, the people who are going to be available around there. Even if you get like a guy like Arden Key, like if you get your edge rusher, or, we pick up a defensive tackle, which obviously we might have issues with going into the off season.
I'm going to venture to say that Kyle Williams is retiring.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so too, unless he really thinks that, something. You would hope that he would retire before the draft, just to do. I mean, the Bills have done him pretty well over the course of the last, 40 years he's been with the team.
Kyle Williams has existed before any of us, and he will live until after we are all
Oh, no,
dead.
he's definitely going to be here way longer than we will be. But you would hope that, he would do the team a favor, let them know he's not going to be here so they can make, moves accordingly. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely prefer to know the holes you need to fill as opposed to like finding out in June that Kyle Williams is like, no, I'm not going to come back this year. It's like, well, you could have told us that 2 months before. But I guess we've seen worse.
Well, if I'm the GM, I make moves this offseason, assuming that Kyle Williams won't be back. I mean, that if he's going to delay on making the decision, that's the safest way to play it.
Yeah, you definitely need some defensive line help either way. I think it's safe to say that's a area where the best teams just roll out 7 or 8 guys and rotate through. Look how many great defensive linemen the Eagles had this year, and just how miserable they made quarterbacks' lives. Some of the best offenses in the NFL out there in the NFC could not get rolling because they were just scrambling around like poor Case Keenum in that NFC Championship game.
The Bills' D-line was effective by committee this year. Like, there wasn't one guy that really stuck out. They all really had their own part in it. They didn't miss Darius at all. They seemed they missed him more after they traded him. They weren't playing him. And then I don't know.
It was almost like that mental idea, concept that oh, Darius isn't here anymore, so I guess we should suck now.
Yeah, it was like that first 3 weeks after he was traded, and then all of a sudden they figured it back out again.
Yeah, they were pretty. It was pretty rough for the first few weeks. We had some really bad rushing defense games.
That Saints game made me sad.
Oh my god, that Saints game! I could pick out the seat where I was sitting at the bar. I probably will always be able to do that too because the bar sucked. But it's neither here nor there.
What bar? For the
Lennox Grill.
You like Lennox?
Oh my god. We'll talk to Chuck about it. Chuck who? Next time you see him.
Fantasy guru.
Shh.
You're spoiling my surprise for later in the show, you bum.
We'll cut that in post.
That's fine. It's been a really big surprise when we bring fantasy corner.
It was such a bad. The game was terrible. It was definitely one of the worst games defensively I think we've had in ages. I can't remember a worse game.
Yeah, it was terrible. You don't need a first line defensive end, but man, having a guy who's like an actual difference maker off the edge like that, even if you're comfortable with guys like Yarborough and everyone rolling off the bench, just having a difference maker on the outside, someone that the other team has to plan to block for, just makes everyone's life so much easier on that team. I would love to have a guy like Key or something like that. Maybe not a first-round guy. I still don't know if I feel like I want a defensive end at that spot. I guess it depends on who else ends up being available. I'd almost rather have that tackle who falls 2 picks down to Carolina in that mock, Connor Williams. But a couple different things, especially with a guy like Key who can play both outside linebacker and defensive end. A lot of versatility on defense. We talk about with a guy like Shaq Lawson when he came in, who's just finally getting his footing. 2 guys with that kind of athleticism off the outside would be a huge pain for anyone to deal with, especially when you're looking at trying to pin in some more mobile quarterbacks as the NFL tries to build some offenses around guys like that. Even like your Darnolds and your Roethlisbergers who aren't traditionally mobile, they can still move the pocket, get everyone rolling, play action, things in the backfield.
And it's interesting with the way, especially we're post combine now, like with some of the injuries that occurred or things that just appeared in people's health reports, like Hurst from Michigan, being diagnosed with a heart ailment, and guys like Billy Price tearing a pectoral muscle while doing his bench reps. Like there's these little things that have been happening that really push people down, which move more people up that were obviously lower in the these mock drafts and everything. And it'll be interesting to see how over the course of the next few weeks these mock drafts consistently change, especially when you have pro days and all of that, especially with the quarterbacks that didn't perform at the combine.
That guy from UCF who's playing with just one hand, absolutely amazing. I want that guy.
Yeah, I was
give me
there.
that guy in the 3rd round or whatever he's going to be taken.
Love that guy. Someone's going to go every play with something to prove, with a chip on his shoulder. He's going to go every play. You know what I mean?
What do you have the fastest
4.3?
4.3, the fastest 40 time ever by a linebacker.
Yeah,
at least in 15 years. I don't know if that's when they started recording it or when it was.
Yeah,
no, it's more than that.
But that's insane.
And
4.3
doing as many bench presses as he did with a prosthetic hand and all this crazy stuff that he can do.
And he's enormous. Like he's a big dude.
It's huge.
It's just so impressive.
And yeah, Justin, you alluded to some guy who he's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder and want to prove to everyone that he's just as good as your Roquan Smiths and all your other potential first-round linebackers that are coming out this year. That guy is going to have a motor that will not quit. I want a guy like that on my defense.
This is what the Bills need to, and it's the kind of guy I think that McDermott would like, actually. And he's got one hand. Does he have any picks in college? You don't want your linebackers getting picks. You want them getting tackles.
He had better hands on some of those hands drills than a lot of guys with 2 hands did.
Which is a guy get pegged in the head? See that?
No, I didn't see that.
There's a
What?
defensive back running that drill where he runs down the line and catches balls on each side.
Yeah.
The first ball he turned for came too soon and hit him right in the head.
Did you say the guy who was running the 40, then his dick just fell out? It was a personal highlight.
That happens like every year, though.
Was that Rich Eisen?
No, I wish. You see Goodell ran it today?
You wish?
Yeah,
Hold on. Let's go back to that for a second.
You heard me right.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, in the office.
Yeah, it was actually not bad. Faster than I expected Roger Goodell to be.
5-4-3 it was, I think. 'Cause I heard someone say in the background.
I wonder if we are, as a group, I mean, speaking solely for myself, because I'm out of shape and slow now, how many of us in this room are faster than Roger Goodell?
We should test it out.
Totally should.
5-4-3. He had.
Mhm.
I could probably do just over 5. I would say.
We should go test
716
this out.
Sports Podcast Combines, who has the biggest vertical. And
We should do it.
just record a little video for everything.
There's like 35 Snapchat stories.
Follow the 716 Sports Podcast on Snapchat.
We're declaring ourselves eligible for the podcast football draft.
Yeah, local flag football if I don't tear a quad. Vince McMahon style running 40 yards.
Well, you got to tear both quads then, buddy.
That's true, I do.
I would definitely be down for that though.
Yeah.
The combine for the podcast.
Should totally do.
We should do it. We should do that pre-draft.
Totally should.
Can we not make the bench whatever they're benching? Can we make it like 145 instead of 245? It might be a good idea.
There's a few growlers.
Just put a growler on each end of the pole, like a mop.
Without the cord from Lockhouse, even borrow a couple barrels.
There you go.
Empty barrels.
It's my kind of combine.
About 60 pounds. We can do that.
Little 16-ounce curls. I can do that.
Here. We'll put this together. Don't take our fucking idea.
We're not the first people to do this, so it's okay.
We're the first people in Buffalo on a podcast that calls themselves the 716 Sports Podcast to do it.
You're damn right.
So everyone else could suck it.
We had it copyrighted, so if you call yourself the 716 Sports Podcast, I will sue the fuck out of you.
And then,
Actually, I won't. Justin will.
and then we'll talk about this later. Never mind. The wheels are turning, boys.
The wheels-
It's not
wheels
good
are
for
cranking?
anybody.
I like it.
The wheels are cranking.
Yes.
So, Nick already mentioned what he wants the Bills to do as far as staying pat.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, what is your dream scenario? What do you want the Bills to do in the first round?
Obviously, the best thing for them would be to stay pat there and pick two guys that can help right away. And I think they should go offensive line, honestly. But it's the unsexy thing to do, but I think it's the right thing to do. And then you can get a guy like Bridgewater in free agency or Bradford as your stopgap. Because there's some good guys coming out next year. I think it's right to get your O-line in place first and then get a guy behind it.
You get the right O-line together, your team's going to be good for years to come. That's the foundation of a team, is the O-line. I mean, everybody talks about how important it is to have a quarterback, and it is. But your great quarterback will be no good if there's no offensive line in front of him.
Yeah, you become Andrew Luck at that point. You can have the best quarterback you want, and if no one's blocking for him and he has no weapons around him, it doesn't do you any good. I'm of the same mind. I don't want them to sell the farm. If there's a good deal there and it gets to like 12 and Mayfield or Rosen still sitting there and they can give up like a first and a second, or maybe even both first just this year at that point to get to 12 and take Rosen or Mayfield, I'm not going to hate it. But if they're trying to trade up to like 6 to jump everyone, like trade up to 5 to jump the Jets, and it's like both first this year and next year's first, and
A Sammy Watkins type
yeah,
deal.
and like even if you hit it at that point, you're just handicapping yourself to build the rest of your team.
If they do it to get a guy they want, if they get their guy and they don't do it out of a move of panic, they would need a guy. I don't care. And there's something to be said about getting a franchise guy that they haven't had since Jim Kelly. And I wouldn't be upset if it's like a Rosen or Darnold. But if it's one of those two, and that they want one of those two, I'm okay with it. But just don't go trade up there out of a panic move to get, I don't know, some guy. Like if they decide to sit pat or get stuck sitting pat, and Lamar Jackson falls there, I'll take Lamar Jackson all day.
I think Bills fans are gonna love that move.
Well, some Bills fans will.
He's 6'3", can run like the wind. He's got a cannon for an arm. He actually throws the
He's
football.
going to be a
I
great
like
wide
Lamar
receiver someday. I think the problem and one of the problems I'm going to run into with, as far as like listening to other people talk about it, is that, oh, well, we traded Sammy for this and we traded Darby for that, and now we're just going to get our quarterback. It's like, no, this. I mean, if that was the whole entire plan all the way along, like we traded all these players, and we traded back last year with Kansas City to get all these draft picks in our arsenal so we could go ahead this year and, move up to get a guy like Darnold DeRozan, then that's fine. But I really doubt that was the plan that was put in place to get all these picks just so we could move up to get this quarterback. We know we have all these holes. Yes, we were a playoff team last year, but we need to fill the holes that are still here. Getting rid of 3 or 4 draft picks over the course of the next year or two to move up to get a quarterback, I don't know if that necessarily solves the problem.
That limits your ability to fill those holes that have been created.
Exactly. So, I mean, I would think that we traded guys like Darby, we traded guys like Watkins, and we got, good-ish value for them. We should take advantage of that, not just toss it away for the sake of getting one player to play behind the same O-line that we had and play with the same wide receivers that we have. I would have a really hard time really embracing the fact that we traded those players away last year in the middle of the season or, preseason just for the sake of getting a quarterback. I would really, really, really love just to stay there, see what falls to us. Like you said, if somebody falls to 16 and we want to move up 5 spots, or we want to move out of the 22 to get it into 16 or 15, and it's not going to cost a king's ransom, okay, I'd be fine with that. But realistically, to give up what we need to give up to get in that top 6 is just, it's mortgaging the future. It honestly is. And yeah, we're a playoff team. We were a playoff team. Is this a playoff team how it currently sits? Probably not. But we didn't think that last year either, so it's just really tough. It's really, because we're right there. We're right there to be hopefully a consistent playoff team.
I was encouraged to hear that McDermott and Bean both said that this team has a lot to do still. Like, they weren't content to be like, oh, we made the playoffs, so this is a team we can continue to work with. We're right there. We already achieved the first step of our goal. Like, no, they realize that there's a lot of things that this team is still lacking, and they made the playoffs this year, but maybe this team doesn't get that lucky, really an Andy Dalton Hail Mary pass. Like, you're not going to get that kind of luck every year. There's a lot of holes in this team, and I think that they are not the kind of guys who I would expect to go out and sell the farm for someone that they didn't think was going to solve a problem. I don't think they're the kind of guys who are going to give up 3 first-round players for the hope that they hit the one right quarterback.
See, and that's one thing I worried about going into the end of the season when they were making the playoff pushes. Is the front office going to be satisfied with the team if they make the playoffs and kind of ignore the holes? And it's good to see that they know and recognize that there's holes on this team that they still have to fill despite making the playoffs.
And they go around preaching process, and those processes are slow. And the process thing to do would be to keep those 2 picks. And they're all about their role players, never having a role, not having super skill guys. They want role guys. So by how they've spoken the past year, their move would be to keep those 2 picks and fill 2. They got a lot of holes. They got 2 big gaping holes on the defensive line. They did good work getting Vontae Davis, and that's still kind of risky because it can go either way. There's going to be no gray area there. I feel like it's going to be he's really good or really shitty, and they just need more depth. They don't have depth, especially it sounds like they might not keep Preston Brown. They need linebackers bad.
Yeah.
They also didn't have secondary depth last year either.
Yeah, as soon as Hyde and Poyer started getting hurt, it really started falling off on the back end.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. And tomorrow's the day they got to cut or keep Taylor by, right? Isn't it tomorrow? The league year starts tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the league year starts tomorrow.
He has until the 3rd day of the league year.
Until he gets his bonus?
Yeah.
3rd day of the league year.
I thought it was a 6th for some reason.
We can look that up.
Might be thinking about the NWHL free agency deadline.
Yeah, that is in fact the 6th.
Guess tomorrow. Nick, let us know. Nick's our fact guy.
Yeah,
because I have a computer in front of me.
Fine.
Nick's our PolitiFact.
While Nick's looking that up, I am curious to see if any of those Olympians come back to the NWHL or not. I'm really getting the feeling that the answer is no at this point because none of them have yet. But maybe Falzer comes back. That'd be cool. Wouldn't mind.
I think Falzer going to come back.
I wouldn't mind an extra.
I heard a thing. You heard a thing? Yeah. So we'll say I think Falls are going to come back.
That would be exciting.
March 17th.
March 17th. Well, I was way off.
Okay. So we're all
speaking of the Buttes,
drunk on St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Tyrod is still a bill. Yeah, Butte's playoff game is the 17th at 5:30. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're not going to be there, fucking do it.
Fucking do it. You hear the lovely tones of Jeff's voice.
Yeah, if this doesn't encourage you to go, I don't know what will. If you're not sick of talking, listen to me talk already. Actually, if you're sick of listening to me talk, go and be there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can watch the game without listening to me talk. So Justin, you wrote a thing this week that made its circles around, seemed to rile up a lot of our local community that we're a part of in the local blogging community. I know on the show last Monday we talked about a piece that was written by Mike Straw.
It wasn't a piece, it
Well,
was
it was a tweet from Mike Straw about Robin Leonard wanting a trade out of Buffalo. And the reaction that elicited from Mike Harrington and John Worrow specifically, and other members of the media probably less so. So we recorded the show last Monday night, and we were all pretty content to bash both sides for their downsides and the pros and cons of throwing something out there, knowing sources, yada, yada, yada. The next 12 hours after that, Worrow and Harrington just kind of kept going.
Yeah,
they took the dead horse and they kept beating it. Tweeting at this guy like how never been to it, doesn't cover sports, doesn't go to games,
in the
yada,
mom's
yada,
basement
yada.
shit.
Lives in your mom's basement. It took what is okay, congratulations, you guys were right and Mike was wrong, to holy crap, why are you so offended that this guy like a newspaper reporter has never been wrong before in recorded history. No one's source has ever been wrong before. How dare this guy tweet this out? It's such old guard versus new guard shit. It's amazing.
I mean, Worrow is one to talk about basements. He looks like a guy that just came out of his 80-year-old mom's basement. The guy's pathetic. Have you ever seen the guy? Huh?
Wasn't he the one that was complaining about the Sabres press elevator at KeyBank Center at one point?
Yeah.
I took a shot of that in the first paragraph.
Yeah, you did. And, well, we could revisit the tweet that you originally sent to him, but we won't do that.
But, yeah, dude, the dude was wrong. And, obviously... And he kind of earned what he got. I won't say deserved. He kind of earned what he got, But let it be what it is there. And like I said in the article, the victory lap in the zoo the next day was fucking true. It wasn't even just Warren and Harrington. A couple other media guys piled on too. I was hot, and I was sitting here late at night the following day. It was a Tuesday. I was thinking about it, and the poor Google Doc that was victim to my story. I unleashed, and I was fuming, but I got some Twitter reaction.
Yeah, no, we're people who sit here in this room. We don't do it because people pay us to do it. I mean, if you guys want to, we're open to that, but we do it because we enjoy it. We sit here, we talk sports, we have fun. We do this because we want people to listen and share and connect with the local Buffalo sports community. And there's a lot of great writers out there. We had Chad DiDomenicis on last week, who's one of those guys who spearheads that kind of movement. We talk about Grandstand Sports, where you can go and listen to a bunch of guys like us who just like talking sports. Mm-hmm. And there's no need to disparage someone because they don't work a 9 to 5 going to every press conference. There are tons of people out there. My favorite example locally, just look at those guys who work on Cover One. Those are guys who just break down everything. Watch all the film. It's amazing the kind of work that those guys do.
They're balls deep. They're balls deep, and they got a fist in it at the same time. It's impressive.
They have to dig. They have to shovel themselves out of the anus of coverage in the all 22 footage. There's things that you can get with the internet now. You can get any kind of coverage you want from any outlet, and I think that's what scares the newspaper guys. It used to be that you would get your parents would get your morning and your evening edition of the newspaper. You'd read the columns, you read everything in the reports, and then TV creeps in and takes a little bit of that. And now that we can write, we have a website. You and I can go online like you did with your piece and write something that can be as good. And we have very good writers. We're very lucky on this podcast between you and Eric, and things that Bill writes when he wants to, and what I'll eventually maybe do myself if I get off my lazy ass and write.
And our fantasy articles.
And our fantasy articles, which are just wonderful. Thanks, Chuck. There's no need to disparage someone because they're not working for the Buffalo News. There's no need to act like you're an elitist because you write sometimes. Anyone can do it. Anyone does do it. And it irks me, and I know it irks you, which was the inspiration behind the article, that you can just say it's just some dude living in his mom's basement. No, a lot of we have homes, we're broadcasting in Justin's house. Clearly we're not all bums who just sit around all day and just keyboard warrior our way through Twitter trying to get reactions out of Mike fucking Harrington.
And how long has Harrington been here?
Too long.
Since the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and I have trouble sometimes, like, realizing, like, I swear to God, Sullivan's been here probably since, like, 1990. And guys like Bucky, he's been here. So we have these old guard writers, these old guard journalists who have been here since the dawn of time. And they pat themselves on the back and they retweet themselves with these, whatever awards they get. Great. Good for you. Like, you're competing against, like, Tacoma, and you're competing against Erie, Pennsylvania, and Dayton, Ohio. Congratulations. You know what? You've been in the same fucking market for 20 plus years, and if you don't understand your base, the people who are reading your fucking material, and you completely alienate this progressive idea that journalism...
Whoa.
Wow.
What is going on?
It's a stupid ad.
That's an aggressive advertisement. On
So
this
journalism is just getting different. You need to embrace it. And not just the fact that, yes, you are understanding Twitter. We have 280 characters. It's different than that. It's blog journalism. And you think because you put your stuff behind a paywall and some people are paying for it. I don't know. Does anybody here pay for being extra?
Hell no.
No.
Like, do
Wait,
you know anybody who pays for it?
No.
I don't even know what that is.
It's essentially like ESPN Insider for the Buffalo News. And nobody pays for ESPN Insider anymore either, because anything you want can be found anywhere.
I can get Milk Upper's blocked mock draft on Reddit for free.
Yeah.
Exactly.
even if I wanted to read it, like, whatever.
Yeah, but it's just this idea that we're growing past this old idea of, your daily newspaper and the concept of these articles that are written by fossils, that we just need to move past it. And as, like you said, it's a call to action. As almost this, like, post-millennial, premillennial group of people that we are, we need to move on from these old white men, and embrace who we are as a diverse community of people who, read and write and watch and listen and communicate with one another to create a different atmosphere that is just propagated by this so-called sports mainstream media in this lower mid-level market that is Buffalo, New York.
Has anybody ever felt that the mainstream sports media is trying to be the tone setter of how you're supposed to feel about your local teams as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think guys like Sullivan and Harrington want you to feel miserable because your teams are bad. I think that Mike Harrington goes on Twitter and wants to remind you that he thought he still thinks to this day, whether or not can anyone really be right about the tank? We can argue about it for hours. But he's like, the Sabres are bad. Look who was right. He wants to remind you every single day that he tweets that the Sabres are still bad, and he wants you to feel bad about it. Like, when was the last time? Was there ever a positive column in the Buffalo News in my lifetime? I was born in 91. Probably the Super Bowl, and I'm not even sure then. Like, everyone is just so jaded. Like, everyone wants you to be miserable and angry and always questioning. There's never anything positive or constructive. It's always, the sky is falling. The Bills are terrible. The Sabres are terrible.
You were born in 1991?
Yeah.
I hate you.
That's fine. I'll be 27 in May.
But yeah, it is that idea that it's just this constant, nobody's going to turn on the news, and, if it's, butterflies and rainbows, then nobody's going to watch the news. Nobody's going to read the newspaper. Everybody wants to see this scathing criticism as opposed to maybe ideas on how we get better. It's just this constant, beat down of what we've had for the last, with the Bills we had for 17 years up until this year. And even then, like, it's still like, oh, fuck, it doesn't even matter. And then we have, the Sabres have been terrible pretty much since, 99 too. It's outside of a handful of years. It's the same idea. And even when they were good, they were bad.
Yeah. I know this was bandied about a little bit in our group chat earlier that we have for the podcast. Do you think the Buffalo News is at all scared that the Athletic has apparently made their intention known to come to Buffalo?
Who at the Buffalo News? You got to name a name.
I have no idea.
Because I could tell you that I would assume that most of the people who are scared are names that we don't know. There are names that are either higher up or they're young. the guys like Harrington, the guys like Bucky, the guys like, like Sullivan, they have no idea what the Athletic is. And they don't think they think that those are basement bloggers. That's exactly what they think it is. And that's fine. And when they start losing their jobs, when they start losing subscribers, because people are willing to pay for hard-hitting journalism, not the same old, that's going to be a big difference to them in their pocketbook. And they're going to see it, and they're going to realize after the fact, like, oh, shit, that just happened. And now I'm in my mom's basement.
Just like the fact that one day Harrington can be going on Twitter is like, this is why you read my stuff. This is why you should pay to support the Buffalo News. And the next day go in a column in a published fucking newspaper and try to make fun of someone because he got a lead that wasn't right on the internet is so unprofessional that I cannot even process it. It makes no sense. Like, if you think genuinely that you are the best writer in Western New York, then just write and put stuff out there that makes people want to read it. Going at people on Twitter who don't understand why they should pay for your stuff, or going at someone who had a lead that didn't turn out into anything, just makes you look like a huge fucking asshole. It doesn't make you a good writer.
His Twitter bio, Buffalo News baseball and Sabres columnist. I can't even recall an important Buffalo baseball article ever.
Steven Strasburg did play a game here once.
I was at that game. He was awesome.
I took a shot at that in my article also.
He's a baseball Hall of Fame, he's a voter for the Baseball Hall of Fame. How is anybody from Buffalo, New York, a guy that's been in this market forever, a voter for the Baseball Hall of Fame? What has he seen?
AAA baseball, at best.
Tim Wakefield?
Coco Crisp.
Grady Sizemore.
I was at the Tim Wakefield bobblehead game.
Don't get me wrong, I love me some Grady Sizemore.
If
I was a lady,
those early 2000s Bison's teams though, with Grady and Victor Martinez and Hafner and Cliff Lee were super fun.
You know how many of those guys in the Baseball Hall of Fame? 0.
Well, Travis Hafner still got a couple of years.
Yeah, he's gonna. Pronk has nothing. But it's just amazing that they these writers prop themselves up on something they've done ages ago, and you can't. There are so few sports writers writing for the Buffalo News that can actually say that they have done something of any sort of substance, other than, personally, I think Tim Graham does a really good job of writing long pieces, and he does a lot of investigative journalism. But as far as sports writers, we're severely lacking in any sort of progressive thought and anything that is going to make the product that they put out better than what it was 20 years ago.
All I can think about right now is Jerry Sullivan making a complete ass of himself at the Super Bowl last year.
With Cam?
Yeah. Like, he was a joke of journalism for
got
24 hours.
Dragged by Bomani Jones on ESPN the next day.
Even, I think Jim Rome fucking ripped him up.
If Jim Rome's ripping you up and making a good sense, that's how you know you fucked up. This basically, at this point, Buffalo News is that old tenure professor at your college that everyone hates, but you have to take his class and just sit there while he drones on about how he knows the right way and the technology and things these days. He's the you can't have a calculator in your pocket in real life guy. And The Athletic and things like Beyond the Blade and Cover One and blogs like this are the cool new professor that makes learning fun and interesting. You feel like you walk away with something important after reading it.
And this professor is the only professor that teaches the 101 class.
Naturally.
And you have to take it just because. It's like one of those things, if you want to progress in what you're doing in your field, you have to listen to this asshole fucking vomit every day.
Yeah.
And you got to kiss his ass to be able to get, a decent grade to move on.
Right.
And I when he did that when he took down Mike Straw in his article the next day, I tweeted at him, and I was really hoping I was going to get blocked. I really wanted. I told him he was a fucking asshole, and I told him that the editor should get fired for allowing that to be printed on paper. That article fucking just made me insane. I was livid. And he didn't block me, and I swore at him, and he didn't block me. It's like, what the fuck? Oh, is that because I was right?
Even
dick?
Speaking of swearing at news person and getting blocked. Hamilton is always so fucking
they
high and mighty. Don't swear on my timeline.
Call somebody a pussy, right?
Calls Greg Balk a pussy. Like
he might be a pussy. I mean.
It was so unexpected, though. It was so funny. Like,
I loved it.
Hamilton is the last person on earth I would expect to go trolling someone on Twitter like that.
I thought it was funny, but it's like it's just
Yeah.
and it was the perfect timing of everything too.
Pot in the kettle.
It was like, oh shit, you're gonna jump into?
That's
Oh man, lost a lot lot Paul Hamilton.
Oh yeah, that tweet still exists. It's 198 likes.
yeah. So anyway, Mike
Yours?
Straw.
No. Paul Hamilton
Paul's,
calling
yeah.
Greg Bach a pussy.
So anyway, Mike, who I know Mike followed us last Monday while we were recording, then got mad that we called him out a little bit, but then we reconciled. If you're listening, know that while we may not agree with your lead, doesn't mean we disagree with your right to report it, and we are sorry to hear that you had to deal with a bunch of dumb bullshit.
He tweeted at us. He read the article and tweeted at us saying he liked the article and said, "Can we please stop saying I threw spaghetti at a wall?" I said what my source told me. I was like, can we just say that you threw your source of spaghetti at the wall and got in trouble for it?
I mean, hugs and kisses, Mike, but really, like, you fucked up, and somebody called you out on it.
I've come to the conclusion I'm not even sure that he fucked up.
It was like it was a calculated risk. It was. It was shortly after that the fucking Penguins goalie brain fart.
Matt Murray
injury.
Tom Barrasso.
Yeah. Matt Murray injury was announced, and then Leonard getting traded looked pretty imminent. I was like, oh my god, and it's like you throw it out there because in case you're right, you look fucking like I broke. I think it was a calculated risk.
I think someone legitimately told him that. Someone who made no things. It didn't end up happening, but I mean, it came out the teams were kicking the tires on Leonard, like Calgary, Philly. Were certainly interested, so it wasn't completely like out of left field to think that Leonard was interested in moving away from a team, especially to a playoff team. Like Philly and Calgary both in playoff spots right now.
And Chad Johnson was getting starts over him on a regular basis.
Played 7 out of the last 11 games as of tonight.
Right, Buffalo. So that's kind of a telling thing. Like if a journeyman backup has been getting starts over somebody got traded for a first round pick,
and Philly just traded for a goalie the same time frame too. They traded for Mrazek.
Detroit, right?
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's easy to make fun of him because his lead didn't go anywhere. But if Robin Leonard gets traded, can you fucking imagine the shitstorm? Harrington and Warrior are dragging him for 5 hours, and at 3 o'clock, Robin Leonard goes to Calgary.
Just imagine if he goes somewhere else in the offseason, and he gets signed somewhere else, and he goes off the handle, talking shit about the organization. He's happy to be gone.
Yeah.
And, then Mike Charles, he can go back and teabag every single Mike Harrington John Warrior article ever.
He's going to go caught on him.
Right. Yeah, it could have happened.
And even with Waro, he was, right before King, literally the tweet I saw before King got traded, things are quiet. Like, but then it always goes back to Straw because they took a shit all over his face. And it's just really.
He was here. He didn't hear any of that. He was there.
Yeah, he was literally there.
There was everything. There.
He wasn't in his basement, licking Cheeto dust off his fingers.
So anyway, no one hates Buffalo sports media more than Buffalo sports media. We all hate the shit out of each other. The fact that 4 of us can get in a room together and talk for as long as we do on a semi-weekly basis is amazing.
That's why we only do 4 at a time.
That's why if there's a 5th of us, we just start fighting.
Yes, if Steve is here or Bill is here, that's why I didn't show up until we can only have 4 people in the room.
Let's just get Bill and Steve on together and just talk about Tyrod Taylor again.
God, I can't wait.
Those were the days.
Can't wait. We have to get them in a room talking about quarterback prospects before the draft again. I'm excited.
I can't wait till after March 17th when we still have Tyrod Taylor on the team. We can talk about it then.
Real quick, back to quarterbacks in the draft. Before we started doing this, about an hour or so before, someone on Twitter threw a big log in the fire about Bills offering a second-round pick for Nick Foles. Yeah. It was incarcerated Bob. Who knows how much water it holds. What if the Bills do get Nick Foles? Do they go up and get one of those guys?
Absolutely not. No chance.
No reason to.
Foles is your week 1 starter in that case.
Well,
you might draft the guy behind him. That doesn't mean that you can't take Luke Falk or Rudolph in the second round.
Or you could even, with your 22nd pick, take a quarterback. Yeah. I'd be fine. I don't care.
I wouldn't hate. I mean, Foles and Lamar Jackson feels a whole lot better than Peterman Tyrod.
Right, because you're gonna sign somebody. You're gonna sign, hopefully what was Nick Foles has how many years left of his contract? 2,
No
3,
idea.
I think.
1 or 2.
1 or 2. You sign him for maybe an extra year, or give him a raise, and then you groom somebody for 2 or 3 years, and he's then Foles becomes your stopgap guy. I'm good with that. Yeah, he's a Super Bowl MVP, but you got to make things happen. You got to progress, have a plan for your team. I'd be perfectly fine with taking like Mason Rudolph at 22.
Another quarterback I really want next year, Nick Fitzgerald.
I'm really curious to see how he recovers from that injury.
Give me that guy.
I want the Bills to take JT Barrett in the 6th round.
He broke his ankle.
Is JT Barrett a senior yet? Is he finally eligible?
I
think JT Barrett's going to go into college.
I think
for another
he's
year.
on his 7th year of eligibility.
I feel like JT Barrett's been the Ohio State quarterback since Craig Krenzel went to the draft. Maybe Troy Smith at least.
JT Barrett took over my junior year.
Wasn't he the quarterback when the Bulls played them when I was fun?
Yeah.
No.
Was that Braxton?
That was Braxton Miller.
Okay.
But he was on that team.
He was on that team, yeah. And then the next year he broke his ankle, and then Cardale Jones, former Buffalo Bill Cardale Jones, was
Bill's great. Bill's legend.
Yeah, some people do go to college for 7 years.
Hey,
They're generally called doctors.
yes.
Yeah, they're generally not given 7 years of football eligibility, but who am I to knock? Before we move on to our next segment, I would like to take a brief segment, as I'd like to do at this point, to congratulate the UB hockey program for completing
Go Bulls.
a dynamite regular season by winning the NECHL conference tournament this past weekend. They are unstoppable. Ryle Ledger named tournament MVP. That moves them to 16-1 in conference this season. They are unstoppable. Speaking of next week in big hockey games, they'll be playing in Columbus, Ohio, I believe, next Wednesday in the Division I ACHA National Championship.
Was that nationwide?
Yeah.
Nice. Good for them.
It's a big deal.
That is fantastic. That's a great deal.
Actually, I don't know if the whole thing's at nationwide. I think maybe just the
Some might be
Final Four
at
is-
Schottenstein Center.
Yeah. But congratulations to them. They deserve everything. It's amazing how quickly Coach Kirsten has turned that team into a solid unit just a couple of years there. It's amazing.
That is incredible. Well done, boys.
So, Nick Ruber is, because you've been here 2 weeks in a row, we actually get to have trivia on the show 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I think we're gonna take a pause here.
Yeah.
We're gonna do another segment before trivia and jump into it. So we'll be back in a bit.
Welcome back to the 716 Sports Podcast, coming to you hot from the hottest studio in Tonawanda with the Fantasy Corner. The Fantasy Corner brought to you by Ted's Hot Dogs. Ted's Hot Dogs. Why settle for the second best hot dog in Western New York when you can have the best hot dog in Western New York? Ted's Hot Dogs, a proud sponsor of the 716 Sports Podcast. Saquon Barkley. Is he the best running back available in this draft? My sources are saying yes. I say yes. Number 1 fantasy pick this year, coming to you hot. He's got a better arm than Lamar Jackson. Catches the ball better than Shaquille Griffin. Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley, number one.
Number one.
Like Ted's Hot Dogs.
Like Ted's Hot Dogs. The number one hot dog in Western New York, Ted's Hot Dogs. Give me money. Anyway, let's...
Trivia. Hey, guys. 4 categories. Let's go. We have retired numbers. We have NHL goalie win leaders. Your third category is Bills drafted where? And your final category for your game here tonight is sports randoms. There's a very random, I believe, stat leaders for our various Big Four sports there. Winner of our last game, big winner last week, Justin. Pick something, please.
I want to go sports randoms.
For how much? For one? Good.
I wanna mix it
100
up.
points. I already did 100 points. Who is the current active leader in rushing touchdowns in the NFL? Jeff.
Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson is 99. Second place, 81, is Marshawn Lynch.
It's already Saquon Barkley.
Keep
Wow.
rolling. Yeah, Saquon Barkley in spirit. That's
For
fine.
200 points. Amongst active rostered NHL skaters, who has played the most games for his career? Amongst active rostered NHL, Justin.
Brian Gianta.
Gianta is incorrect. Amongst active rostered NHL skaters,
He is active now.
who has the most games played for his career? I think this guy's got a few more games than Mr. Gianta. The correct answer,
Gonna kill me.
Patrick Marleau.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
For 300 points, we'll keep it rolling for you, Jeff. Hey, look at there. It's a daily
No,
double,
let's
Jeff.
go for it.
300 points. I like it. You like your NBA? Good. Who is the active leader in rebounds in the NBA?
Now, was that just the season or all
active
time?
leader all time.
All time.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Dirk Nowitzki.
Dirk Nowitzki, I believe, is second. So he's not first. Correct answer. And Mr. Dwight Howard. He's still doing the basketball thing. 400 points. I believe this is a hockey question again. It is. Scotty Bowman is the winningest coach in NHL history with 1,244 wins. Who is second with 879? Jeff.
Joel Quenneville.
Joe Quenneville is correct. Well done. Good pull. You're currently first place with 200 points. Where we go next?
Let's change it to football. Let's go Bills drafted where.
Bills drafted where. I will name a player. I want to know a player that was on the roster this year. I want to know where he was originally drafted. For 100 points, Mr. Richie Incognito. Jeff.
St. Louis. Los Angeles Rams.
I will accept the St. Louis Rams. Yes, that is correct. For 200 points, Jerry Hughes. Justin.
Indianapolis Colts.
The Colts of Indianapolis, Indiana is correct. Would you like to keep going?
Carry onward.
For 300 points, we shall. Logan Thomas. Jeff.
The Arizona Cardinals.
The Phoenix Cardinals is correct. Glendale Cardinals, sorry. For 400 points, Mr. Jordan Poyer, who's a 7th round pick for a team in the NFL. 7th round pick, this guy. I don't remember what year it was. Justin.
Ravens.
The Ravens of Baltimore is incorrect.
I know where he played before Buffalo, but I feel like he was drafted somewhere else, and I don't know where that is.
Where did he play before?
Cleveland?
Correct answer is the Philadelphia Eagles.
That was my first guess, but I, for some reason I thought he said something about knowing how good Tyrod was before everyone else. I don't know. It was somebody else.
Sure. Jeff.
Retiring numbers.
Retired numbers. I'm going to give you 3 players who have a retired number in one of the big 4 sports. You're going to name the number for me, please, for 100 points. Red Auerbach, Derek Jeter, and Tim Horton. Jeff.
Number 2.
Number 2 is correct for 200. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. It's our other daily double. You have 700 points. You're currently first place by 700 points.
Kill shot. Let's go for it. Let's swing for it.
700. Put the women and children to bed, everybody. Jeff is going for the win. Calvin Murphy, Don Mattingly, and Milan Hajduk.
23.
The GOAT number, 23, is correct for 300 points. Pete Maravich, Ted Williams, and Adam Graves. Jeff.
10.
10 is incorrect. Damn. Mike.
9.
Niner. There we go. You want to finish up for 400?
Yep.
Let's do it for 4. Marcus Naslund, Tony Gwynn, and Jeff.
19.
Lenny Wilkins. Getting some of those points back. We have NHL goalie win leaders. I'm going to name an NHL franchise. You're going to name the career leader in goalie wins for that franchise. Last names are acceptable for 100 points. The Nashville Predators. Justin.
Pekka Rinne.
Pekka Rinne is correct for 200. The Pittsburgh Penguins. Ooh. Mike.
Tom Barrasso?
Barrasso is incorrect.
Like,
You think I was trying to give hints earlier? No, you're wrong.
that's why I paused.
Jeff.
Marc-Andre Fleury.
Marc-Andre Fleury is correct. I believe he also holds that record for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. For 300 points, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Jeff.
Nikolai Khabibulin.
Nikolai Khabibulin is incorrect. Justin.
Darren Pupa.
Darren Pupa is 4th, I believe. He leads the team in career losses. I do remember that.
Even better.
Any guess there, Mike?
Mm.
Any guess?
Mike Smith.
Ben Bishop?
You got a buzz in, buddy. There you go. Mike.
Ben Bishop?
Ben Bishop is correct.
Wow.
Well done. Good pull.
I don't think you. Wow. Okay.
4 points. The Dallas Stars. Had a number of...
Terrible goaltenders.
Justin?
Ed Belfour.
At Belfour. Eddie the Eagle is incorrect.
Fuck
That was
off.
my guess too. You just beat me to the buzzer. Boy, there's a lot of nobodies down there.
There has been a lot of nobodies. Yes, that is factually correct. Jeff.
Kari Lettinen?
Kari Lettinen is incorrect. I believe he is number 2 or 3, if I remember right.
Ooh, I think I know what it is.
I have no idea.
Justin, what's your guess?
Mike Smith.
No, Mike Smith is incorrect.
God damn it.
The correct answer, Marty Turco.
Oh, Marty Turco.
Marty
Forgot-
Turco.
forgot
I
all
completely
about
forgot
that
that
guy.
Marty Turco existed.
He was there forever.
Forgot all about that, dude.
Yeah, he's there for a long time.
That's a good pull on your part.
Thank you.
a great pull.
You know what? I was sitting there trying to figure it out, and you know that's sometimes the most fun part is doing the research. So thank you guys for indulging me, and congratulations to Jeff on his big win.
That's my first ever trivia win on this podcast.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I
it's
do terrible.
usually like it's either Mike getting it on answering 2 questions, or Bill just running the table, or Justin just I don't know.
Waking up.
I'd like to thank my knowledge of NHL 2001 for remembering Milan Hajduk and Marcus Naslin's numbers without thinking about it twice for
There you
credit me
go.
for this victory.
I was at a funny Milan Hajduk story. It was back when Riverworks first opened.
Oh, I've heard this story. It's good.
And it was like a skate and shoot. There's a
Yeah.
big tournament going on there, and there's a skate and shoot going on, and I was out there fooling around with the kids, and
Whoa.
Okay, that didn't come out well.
You know I didn't.
I was playing hockey with the kids out
There
there.
you go.
And fuck me.
Phrasing.
And I was sitting there on the bench waiting my turn to get back out there, and I'm looking around and I see this guy. There's a kid out there with Hajduk on his name on the jersey, and I just saw Hajduk, my favorite NHL 2001 player. And look at behind me, I see a guy standing there, and it's like, that's gotta be Milan Hajduk. He's trying to stay back and chill, and I was like, I know who you are. You're not hiding from me, bro. He started laughing. He shook his head. I started laughing. He's like, shut up. It's funny. That's my
awesome.
Milan Hajduk story.
Good for him.
Not very funny.
Recently getting his number retired by the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, good for him.
Part of a fun group.
but
That
a
was
sneaky good player.
the Forsberg Sakic teams out there.
Yeah.
It
I used
was
to love
very
that. I
good.
used to love that Colorado
The
team.
Forsberg, Sakic, Tanguay, Hajduk,
Wow.
Adam Foote.
Adam Foote,
It's a great
Little
name.
guy, Patrick Waugh, whatever.
That's a
yeah,
guy.
Bork at the end of his
Remember
career.
those? Remember those? Like,
Adam Deadmarsh.
remember those Red Wings Avalanche series and those
Oh,
games.
those were brutal.
Oh my god.
That was
They go like 7
They
games
were
every
great
time.
to watch.
Those put hockey to shame now.
well. Those Wings and Avs teams. Like, there's not a lot of teams that hang around. Like, I guess the closest we can get this year is hoping for like a Tampa Pittsburgh. I mean, even then, like that Detroit team was so crazy good.
Mhm.
Like, it's crazy to think of the depth they had, especially up the middle. Having Yzerman and Fedorov on the same team like that, like, absolutely disgusting how good that team was. And
Yeah, Brendan Shanahan, Lidstrom.
Chelios,
Dino Cicerelli.
Dino Cicerelli,
I'm trying to think of
Chris
NHL
Osgood.
94.
Chris Osgood.
Who was Chris Pronger? He was like NHL 94.
This has turned into the Deadspin Let's Remember Some Guys segment.
Hey,
Just name some names from late 90s, early 2000s hockey. Like, your goalie thing made me think about Mika Kiprasov.
Yep, I almost did the
Leader
Flames.
for Calgary.
No, I know you're not a huge hockey fan, Nick.
No, I'm not. But I know enough about hockey to fake my way through a conversation.
What are our favorite Sabres of all time? Not current, just like
Yeah, because current would be a very
it'd be tough.
difficult conversation to
Mike
have.
Weber.
Of course.
Everyone's favorite defender.
Yeah.
Defensor.
Yes.
Danny Briere.
Briere.
Love Danny Briere.
Mike.
Jay McKee.
Jay McKee.
I'm partial to defensemen. I'm partial to defense.
Nick.
See,
Joe Juneau?
I do have a Joe Juneau jersey, also a Brian Holzinger jersey. You know what? I'm trying to think. Like, when I was a kid, I know my favorite was Alex McGillney, because that was when Jeff was 2, and the 93-94 season. I don't know. Maybe I definitely spent good money on a Teppo Newman jersey. I really liked him, but I liked him because he was old and he was just established, and he was like he's an alternate captain, and he just seemed like he was a very a commanding presence when he was there, and then he ended up being a coach after the fact. So I really liked him when I was older, when he was a Sabre. I'm trying to think maybe like those late 90s teams, different guys that I liked. Like I did honestly like Brian Holzinger. I think I liked Chris Gratton, Stu Barnes. Like those are the kinds of players that were really, they kind of had bounced around a bunch of different places and they almost felt like they found a home with the Sabres. And it's been a difficult time for me to get back into being a Sabres fan, especially the last, if people want to go back and listen to those old tank years, like I was totally against it.
You're super anti-tank. Weren't you at the Columbus game?
I was at the Arizona game.
Okay, yeah.
The Arizona game, and my brother and I had seats on the blue line. Like literally, we touched the glass, and we were right there.
I remember jumping off my couch when they lost that game.
I was in Disney World when that happened, and me and my two buddies were walking through downtown Disney when we got the update that Arizona won the game, and we started howling in the middle of downtown Disney. I very clearly remember the exact spot I was when Arizona won that game.
Your parents let you go at the age of 14?
Did I think about a different Arizona game?
No, I'm just kidding.
What to say? I was like 23.
Joking.
I have so many favorite Sabres. It's so hard to pick just one of them. I was a huge Holzinger fan.
Yeah.
Vladimir Siplikov.
There you go.
See, now you're just picking people. It feels like
Matt
you're picking people.
D'Agostini.
Yeah, there you go.
I liked Vladimir. For some reason, when I was younger, I was infatuated with Vladimir Siplikov. Number 29. The real 29.
Yeah. My mom had tickets to the first Sabres game after Steve Bernier came in. Remember when he had that crazy hat trick game against Nashville's first game here? And everyone thought he was going to be like the second coming of great Buffalo goal scoring. He proceeded to do nothing the rest of his career here. And there's a lot of great names in that. There's him, Steve Hines. Remember Steve Hines?
Steve Hines is on my list. Love Steve Hines.
Who didn't love
57 ways to score.
Who didn't love Maxim Afinogenov?
I love Max.
Actually, I loved Max. I'm a guy that love the players everyone hates.
That goal he scored against Tampa is worth everything.
Like,
he goes between his legs and spins around and pots it.
I think my all-time favorite Sabres is going to be Donald Audette.
Well,
which Donald Audette, though?
Post trade deadline down the road.
2001 Donald Audette,
when he had a great
Donald
career
Audette.
and then came here and did shit.
Great career. Get out of here with that shit.
Well, he's a good goal scorer for a while. And remember, he was putting up numbers in Atlanta, and then he got traded back here, and he was fucking awful for like 25 games.
I'm looking at his stuff right now. He did have a season where in 64 games he went 32 and 39.
See, when I was in fourth grade, fourth grade in Miss Meadows' class, we had to write a letter to our heroes, one of our heroes, and I wrote a letter to Donald Audette. Because he always scored important goals. I was like, you were starting to say something. I interrupted you. Did you lose it?
Yep. Yeah, it's probably not even relevant now.
It's all right.
I completely forgot.
He was going to talk about how much he loved
We talked about milk to start the show.
Oh, Afinogenov. That goal he scored against the Rangers, what was it, in the conference semis in 2007?
I was at that game.
The overtime goal, that game that Drury scored, that really late game tying goal.
Yes.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I'm so jealous.
That was back when the Sabres would score and they would quickly cut out Jenneret's call and plug it into the arena noise.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember, what did he just say? He's like, who else? We were saying it really fast. I was like, what did he say? But yeah, I was at that game. It was fun.
So I'm looking at the 2000-2001 Sabres for some reason. I completely forgot that Dave Andreychuk came back for round two for one season, then went to Tampa Bay and.
Fun trivia question, real quick.
How many people are on this? How many people can we name who are on this team?
We should do that. We should do that. But real quick, so the Limited Power Play guys had a team in the Sabres Corporate Challenge this past week, and as you know, you're given a Sabre, an ex-Sabre, to play with you. Name the Sabre. I'll give you hints. Name the Sabre that the Power Play guys got. Number 24.
I can't do it. You told me on Friday.
Okay, you guys wouldn't even know then. Number 24, and he's been on the team within the past 5 years.
Yuri Novotny.
That's a great name. Yuri Novotny's a great name, that Sabre.
Eric Rasmussen. No, Rasmussen was way later, isn't it?
Any guesses, Mike? I forgot. I told Jeff.
I can't even remember a number 24 on the team the last few years.
Well, I really thought about Tyson Strachan, who I think was 24, but no, it's
Zenon Konopka.
Zenon Konopka.
Jesus, that's the guy with the bunny, right?
Yeah, I was stumped in the locker room on Friday morning. It was Thursday at Corporate Challenge, and I was skating with them Friday morning, and He was trying to make us guess. I have no fucking
Oh,
idea.
yeah. You know, we haven't mentioned yet on the show that we should before we go into anything old Sabres. Justin is again doing the 11-day power play community shift along with Eric's doing it too, right, for your team?
Yeah.
So 2 of us on the podcast are doing it. They have great prizes. You know, Justin's giving away some Sabres tickets. Eric's giving away some Buttes tickets. If you meet donation thresholds, it could not go to a better cause than what Mike and Amy have set up here with 11-day power play and all that.
If you're listening, I got a pair of really nice Sabres Club seats. Go to my power play page. Donate any $10 increment. You're into the drawing.
Yeah, we'll tweet it out on the podcast Twitter after the show so you can find it easily. But again, Justin raising great money for a great cause.
Hey, but is there subs this year?
Happy not to spend 11 days sleeping under the stairs underneath the live music this year.
I can go home this time.
Yeah.
There's subs. 1 shift as opposed to 75.
Exciting.
Hang on a second.
That was Bill Kenny trying to call into the show.
Keep talking.
That's fine. So, all right. How many people can we name that are around the 2001 Buffalo Sabres?
We got to get our caller into this one too.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
So we're gonna take our time. We can take a quick second since Nick did trivia. We haven't plugged Nick yet. You can find Nick and myself hosting trivia for Quiz Night in Buffalo.
Hello.
Quiz Night in Buffalo.
Hello.
Hosting all around Western New York. Find us on Facebook, Twitter at Quiz Night in Buffalo. List of all of our shows available throughout the Western New York area, and we will hopefully see some of you out there.
Yeah, we've got some fun stuff going on. We do some private shows every once in a while. We got 2 shows in Niagara Falls now, one in Newfane, one in Buffalo. We've got we're doing the Niagara Falls Animated Film Festival in May, so it's kind of cool. We've got other stuff going on. There's a podcast coming up soon.
I don't want to give away exciting trivia news coming soon.
I don't want to give away too many details, but we're going to be doing a semi-weekly podcast for trivia coming up probably sometime in April. So
Got a
stay tuned.
semi-chub thinking about it.
I've got a full chub thinking about it.
And his
but
laptop just rose off his lap. It's really weird.
It did.
Let's see if Bill can hear us.
Hey, Bill.
The French.
Bill.
William. Oh.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, can you hear us?
Hey.
You're live on the air.
Hey, am I the first caller? I want to get those Pantera tickets.
So before we get into the segment we were about to do, Bill, how was that Sabres game? How satisfying was it to be surrounded by Leafs fans who were miserable?
Let me tell you something right now, boys. There's nothing better, even in a shitty year, to have sad Leafs fans be sad right in your grill. It is the greatest thing ever. I am trying to figure out how to get out of this parking garage right now, and I cannot figure it out. But that's besides the point. The point is that the Buffalo Sabres, there's nothing better than beating the Toronto Maple Leafs. They did so 5-2. Very successful performance. Very big league game. Big league performance. Basically, it involved multiple horrible plays for the Leafs. Horrible breaks with random tip pucks and everything. But hey, it doesn't matter. Blow Leafs blow.
So, Bill, we were just about to go down a trip through memory lane. Nick has the 2000-2001 Buffalo Sabres roster pull up in front of him. We're going to see if we can make it through and name the entire team.
All right, you ready?
So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go around the room.
Okay.
We're going to start with Bill, with Justin, Jeff, Mike.
Okay.
We cool
Go
with
ahead.
that?
Yeah.
All right. So I can't hear him from over here because we don't have headphones. Oh, well, don't worry about it. Just tell me what he says. Hi, Bill.
Yep. Hey, Nick, how are you?
Good, buddy.
Good, man.
Go for it.
What's your
All right,
first one, Bill?
Gilbert Perreault.
Wrong.
Sorry, what year? Oh, hold on. What year did
Justin,
you say?
pick somebody.
2000-2001.
Oh, I apologize.
Did he not hear me?
No, he said Gilbert Perreault. He heard you loud and clear.
I heard
I
Gilbert
did hear.
Perreault too.
Hey, can I try again?
Yes, Bill, go ahead.
Marty Baron.
Martin Biron. Yes, he was on the team then. Justin.
Rhett Warner.
Rhett Warner. Wow, you're just starting off real tough there. Rhett Warner, yes, he was on the team.
Jason Woolley.
Jason Woolley also. Next alphabetically on the team. Mike.
Jay McKee.
Jay McKee, yes, he was on the team. Bill.
Richard Schmelik.
Richard Schmelik, he was on the team then.
Wow.
Yeah. He was around for a long time.
Doug Gilmore.
Doug Gilmore, yes, he was at the end of that season. Correct.
Mike Pekka?
Michael Pekka is Not.
Matt Post
Oh, was that the year that he sat out? Was that the year he sat out?
I don't know.
Maybe he left after 99 or 99
He'd probably still
2000.
be in roster if he was even.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
not showing him on this roster at
Please
all. I will double
insert
check
your
it, but
parking
Mike
ticket. Please
Mirror
insert
Satan?
your parking
Mir Satan,
ticket.
yes, that is correct.
Please insert your parking ticket.
What did he say? I can't hear.
He's saying, please
He is-
insert your parking ticket.
Two.
I'm saying, please insert my parking ticket. Hold on.
Bill, you're next.
And now I am. I'm gonna go with Mika Norinen.
Who you say?
Mika Norinen.
Mika Norinen. Yes, that is correct.
Damn.
Sorry. So Pekka wasn't on the team. I'm gonna go Taylor Pyatt.
Taylor
Please wait.
Pyatt. Not on the team.
So it must have been a holdout year then. He was traded for Pyatt.
Yes, 2000-2001 was the holdout year.
Chris Gratton?
Chris Gratton is on the team.
Was Alexei Zhitnik on the team?
Zhitnik was on the team.
William.
Bill.
Stu Barnes.
Stu Barnes?
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
on the team. Justin.
Rob Ray.
Rob Ray was on the team.
Matt Barnaby?
Matthew Barnaby, not on the team.
How many more we gotta go? Sorry, Mike.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
There's a bunch we've said already. Like there's 3 at least that we've already said that we were talking about earlier.
Okay, we'll be back.
Yeah, I've got nobody. You got to remember.
Well, good try.
I was living in California at the time. Do you know how much Sabres coverage there is out there?
All right, Bill.
Hold on. Oh, was that Andrechuk? I think Dave Andrechuk.
Andrechuk. That was the year Andrechuk
That
came
was
back.
his
We were
last
just
year,
talking
right?
about it.
Yep.
Jeff Sanderson.
Jeff Sanderson, not on the team.
Shit.
Maxima Finnegan.
Maximum Fenniganov on the team. Mike's going to pass again, unless he thinks of somebody.
No, I haven't.
All right, Bill.
I believe that was Soupy's first year. Brian Campbell.
Soupy. Brian Campbell, correct.
Donald Audette.
Donald Audette, correct. Trying to think of these players that we haven't picked yet.
Václav Varada.
Václav Varada on the team.
Good pull.
Bill.
Did we say Jeppe Dumas?
JP Dumont is on the team, correct.
All right.
There are 2, 4, 6, 8,
Jesus Christ.
10, 11 players left.
We have only named one goalie, by the way.
No, we've named a bunch.
No, I've named 2 of them.
Said Baran, Norinen.
I must have misspelled saying Baron. Sorry.
Steve Shields.
No.
I was going to guess him, but no, that's
Dixon Ward.
after.
Dixon Ward, no, not on the team.
Bill.
Any guess there, Bill? Passing here.
Did anybody say Alexei Zhitnik yet?
Zhitnik has been said, yes.
How about? Hold on. 57. Hines. Steve Hines. Steve Hines. 57.
Steve Hines
Catch up.
on the team. Well done.
Joe
Stupid
Juno?
jersey.
Juno, no.
That's 2 Steve Hines mentions on the same podcast for the first time since at least 2005.
Winning.
Rory Fitzpatrick?
No.
It's in your skate.
We tapping out here, Bill?
Hey, is there a goalie left?
There are 2 goalies left, actually.
Hey, how about Dominic fucking Hasek?
Dominic Hasek is correct.
Wow.
I guess we wow, we really missed that one, eh? Oh, boy.
My boys.
Yep. You tapping out there, Justin?
No.
All right.
I thought Hasek left after 99-2000.
No, he
Did we say
No,
Jay McKee?
2002.
Looked like a
We
one
said
on
Jay
two.
McKee.
I wish some defenseman here. I know it. I'm not. Jeff, you can go ahead if you got anybody.
dude, I got nothing.
There are 2 defensemen on the team that I'm pretty sure we haven't said both of them.
Miroslav Shatan.
Yeah, I got it.
Already said.
Did you?
Yeah.
Who the fuck was I for that?
I don't know.
I don't know. This is getting to be bad.
It's getting tough. It's getting tough.
Yeah, I don't. Nope, I don't really think. Did
We're
somebody say
talking-
Donald Audette? That's the last one I got.
We're probably talking call-ups now from
Yeah.
Rochester.
I'm tapping out
I
personally.
don't know what that. So we'll go alphabetically from the top. If I've repeated anybody, I apologize. With 3 points on the season, number 26, Eric Bolton.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Eric Bolton, when I was interning with the Sabres, Eric Bolton came back and had to ask us where the media elevator was because he was a healthy scratch for 3 games in a row.
I want to drop a Derek Plant bomb. Derek Plant? on
No,
there?
no, Derek
God
Plant.
Damn it.
Number 37 with 10 goals and 22 assists, Curtis Brown.
We should have gone Curtis Brown,
That's
boys.
actually a good season for.
Yeah, no, that's
He was
solid.
decent.
Yep.
Yeah, he was fine.
Number 55 with 8 goals and 3 assists, Denny Hamel.
Joking.
Huh?
He could have been here a long time before I named Danny Hamel.
This might be the one for me that nobody said Dmitry Kalinin, did they?
No.
Yeah, he was on the team for a long time.
Russian national team defender.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of defensemen, number 3, James Patrick.
That's another one.
He was on the team for a long time. Eric Rasmussen, the aforementioned Eric Rasmussen. Peter Skidura, another goaltender.
Huh?
Yeah. Chris Taylor was a centerman. And somebody earlier said one of his favorite players of the Sabres from when he was growing up. Number 29 with 7 goals and 7 assists, Mr. Vladimir Siplikov.
God, Justin.
And I didn't save that one for last. That's the last one on my list.
What a dick.
Bill, before we
Yeah.
let you ride off into the sunset on hopefully getting out of your parking garage,
No, we're already out. We're
Excellent.
heading towards the Peace Bridge right now. It's all good.
any other thoughts or observations you want to throw in before we call this show a dunner? Because we've been going for like an hour and a half now.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, I would say the biggest thing to me is that I'm kind of in on Samson Reinhart again, boys. I really liked his game tonight. I thought he played really well. I'm kind of glad that they didn't get rid of him at the trade deadline. I think that Reinhardt's a guy that you probably need to re-sign at this point. I know that he's led a lot of people astray. And is he ever going to live up to that number 2 draft billing? Probably not, but I don't think a lot of guys in that draft are going to at this point. And I think that Sam Reinhart, he's not going to be a foundational piece of your team, but I do think that he can be a contributor for years to come on the second or third line. And I don't know, I'm kind of falling back in love with Samson.
He'll be a good player in years. He's gonna turn into a man one day, and he's gonna figure it out. There's a day where just kind of everything clicks.
Yeah, I'm with Bill, and especially the last. He's basically been on a 30-goal pace for the last half of the season. I mean,
Yeah.
will he ever be a 30-goal scorer? God only knows, but. Yes, you got it for me, like Justin. Like he's going to be a good player. He's going to be a good player here, or he's going to be a good player somewhere else. And I'd rather just keep him. I mean, there's enough room and assets that we don't have to worry about. Let's just keep Sam and let him do what he's doing right now. Housley Systems seems to be kicking in for him.
Jeff, like you're saying, I think outside of him being, on a different team at this point, I'm not sure if anybody outside of Jack Eichel could truly be a 30-goal scorer, because I think the days of guys like Kyle Okposo doing that have kind of passed. But no, I was really impressed with Reinhart tonight, and I'm not going to lie, I also liked Ristolainen and Kadri got into a brawl a little bit at the beginning, and at least Ristolainen fell on Kadri, so I guess he technically wins the fight. But that was about as much fire as I've seen from Ristolainen in probably this entire season. So to see Ristolainen kind of go after it a little bit for his teammates, that's a promising sign. Is he, we talked about a long time ago, can this guy be, a Victor Hedman type player? Probably not at this point, but can he do something? Can he still be a contributor? If he plays the type of inspired game that he played tonight, absolutely he could be. Now, whether it was the atmosphere, it definitely was a big game atmosphere in the crowd. I don't know how it translated to television or radio. The crowd was almost evenly split, 50-50, and maybe even slightly skewed towards the Leafs tonight. But if you're a Sabres fan, that was about as good an effort. I know they were outshot, but otherwise I was really impressed with the overall team effort tonight. And how many times can you say that this season? So I really enjoyed the Sabres effort. And, hey, they got a couple lucky bounces, but it ended up going their way tonight.
So this is a Sabres team now that came into tonight's game, a big win against a Toronto team that's likely making the playoffs. They at one point had beat Tampa Bay and Boston twice each in 18 days a couple weeks ago. I mean, there's clearly got to be something here with this team. I don't know if it's just playing up to their competition or what's going on with them, but there's something there. Whether it's Sam and Rasmus, guys like that getting up for big games, but like, do you think that at this point maybe Housley's system is setting in a little bit with these guys?
I do, because Housley brought in something that was completely different from what this team had been doing under any of the other previous regimes, whether it be Nolan or Rolston or Bilesma. So I do think that Housley has a more complex system, especially when it comes on the defensive end. And what we wanted from this team, we wanted them to sort of unleash the fast break offense, and we just sort of figured that the defense would set in. Well, tonight, there were certainly some opportunities that Toronto missed, but I also thought that there were some nice plays in their own end that the Sabres were making that I haven't necessarily seen in past games this year. Don't get me wrong, there were a couple moments. I thought Scandella actually played pretty poorly. I thought he gave up a couple opportunities. But overall, if that team is going to compete like that for 60 minutes, which I thought it was a full 60-minute effort tonight, that was something that was missing, I think, at the beginning of the year. It's only one game, but it's a rivalry game. And don't forget, these teams are going to play a bunch of times before the end of the season. It's weird to say that this was the first Toronto-Buffalo game on March 5th. We got 3 or 4 more of these coming up here to conclude the season. So it was an inspired effort from the team tonight, and it's hard to say off of one game, but I've never been in the Fire Housley camp after one season. I think that's short-sighted, and I think tonight was the type of effort where you can build on this sort of thing towards next season.
Now, you've seen a lot of players kind of step their game up since Eichel got hurt, and now Kane's gone. Do you think a lot of this effort you've seen come out is because they can no longer sit back and watch and ride the coattails of Jack Eichel anymore?
Well, I think sometimes when you have a transcendent player like Jack Eichel, who, look, I've gotten myself in a lot of trouble on Twitter by saying that I think that he could end up being the best non-goalie in franchise history, but I do sincerely believe that, and I believe that part of that is that he is so skilled on the offensive end, and he worked at his game on the defensive end as well. And I do think that when you are on the ice with him, I do think that there's just a natural tendency to just let yourself go and just kind of, I don't want to say be in awe, but you just see what your teammate can do, and you just think, my God, he's so good. And sometimes that quarter of a second prevents you from being in the right position for a rebound. It may prevent you from, hustling and making sure that you're on side. There's little things, and it's so hard for us as fans to determine what those little intangibles can be on the ice. But I do agree with you, Justin, that I think guys like Reinhart, maybe a little bit O'Reilly, obviously tonight Ristolainen, some of these guys that we were expecting to be the core of this team for multiple years to come, I was impressed with what they did tonight. And as far as being a fan goes, this was as satisfying a win as I've left the arena this entire season.
Sorry.
I mean, no, it's fine. It is a playoff team. It's not the best playoff team, and I've seen them. I saw them beat the Capitals. I've seen them beat the Lightning. But in terms of a complete game, I actually do sincerely believe that this was their best effort tonight.
How much of this game do you think had to do with the defense core they had dressed? They had 6 guys that can wheel. They had Scandella, Nelson, Goulet, Ristolainen, Boileau, I still don't say his fucking name, Boyo, and Antipin. There's no Georges out there. There's no Falk out there. There's no McCabe out there. You just got guys wheeling that can play Housley's fast transition-style defense. How much do you think that helped today?
I do think that Jake McCabe is still a part of this defensive future. But with guys like Goulet and Antipin out there, those are the type of guys that we haven't really had a chance to see on the defensive end. And they're quick enough where I think that they can make up for the mistakes that they do make in terms of positioning. And that's something that Josh Georges just isn't going to be able to do at this point. So in that sense, I do think they may not necessarily look as disciplined in the defensive end, but I do think that the overall result can be better. And I think at this point, it's hard to say with Antipin, but he did play KHL minutes. We've seen a lot of Goulet playing high-level junior and in the AHL. And this team, what do they have to lose at this point? There's just a handful of games remaining in the season. You might as well see if these guys who you hope are part of the future of this team, you might as well see what can they do in a home game against the Leafs is just about as pressure-packed a situation as the Sabres are going to face for the rest of the season. It's an arch rival. They're going to fill up the building. It's going to be a somewhat hostile crowd. And the teams traditionally don't like each other. It's weird to say, okay, well, these are teams that haven't even seen each other. It's the last opponent that the Sabres haven't seen this season. In the entire NHL, they've seen the other 29 clubs. It's weird to think that Toronto is the last one that they're going to see. But it's a division rival. You can play a little bit of spoiler. The Maple Leafs are still in a battle with Boston to try and get home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs when those two teams inevitably face off. Put them in the fire a little bit. Let's see what they can do. Let's let them cook a little bit. And the results, at least for one game, were pretty positive as far as I'm concerned.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, Nick.
Are you done? I'm just kidding,
Nick,
buddy. I had two questions for you.
It's so
They're not
good to hear
Sabres
your
related.
voice.
Is that okay?
It's so good to hear your voice. Yeah, go ahead,
Good
bud.
to hear your voice. Would you
got
like
all
to
night.
know the score of the Southern Conference Final right now?
I would. Hey, shout out to the ExploreAsheville.com arena at the U.S. Cellular Stadium in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. My favorite stadium. If you check me out on Facebook, look me up. I'm the guy that's joyfully, hands agape, just embracing the love of ExploreAsheville.com arena.
Yes, it's currently 52-41. The UNC Greenville is ahead of ETSU.
Greensboro, Nick. I hate to correct you.
Sorry.
UNC
It's
Greensboro.
Okay.
Thank you, bud.
And I had another question.
Go ahead.
How fast do you think you could run the 40?
I think I could do I get training or no? Like just right now?
No.
Pretend that we're going to do it the week before the draft.
Okay, I think I could probably get sub 6. I'm going to say that I could probably run 5.84.
5.84. Okay.
I
Yeah.
heard it now. It's calling the shot.
You might want to work on it, buddy.
Are we going to think about possibly doing this?
Yeah, we've discussed it on the show. I think we might do a little bit of a personal competitive combine before the draft.
I would love it, and thank God Justin has such a massive yard now that we can participate in this. I think that's fantastic.
All right, Bill, we'll let you go. Thanks for checking in. Go Sabres.
Hey, as always, boys, God bless you.
And on that note,
It's my signature sign-off. Good night.
Oh, we thought you hung up.
No, I'm going to go right now. Bye.
Bye.
and on that note, I can't think of a better conclusion to the show than that. Anyone else have any other notes?
Yeah, we should have Bill just call in every show. He has way more
He
energy.
was having a lot of fun.
He's really... That's all.
It's fun to see the Sabres win, even if the game meant nothing. Fuck Toronto.
Let's end this on fuck Toronto.
Fuck Toronto.
Yeah. Fuck Toronto.
Fuck Toronto.